There was a boat race between a team with wisdom and a team without it. Those with wisdom versus those who were unwise, the foolish. And the foolish team lost the boat race big time, so they hired an expert to figure out what went wrong. The expert reported that the team with wisdom had one person steering and 8 people rowing, while the unwise team had 8 people steering and only 1 person rowing. Aha! Said the foolish team, and they immediately restructured so there was 1 senior manager, 7 management consultants, and 1 rower. In the rematch, they lost by a mile, and after further intensive consultation, the foolish team fired the rower. And I tell that story because it has a major point of the lectionary text, that there are consequences to both the presence and the lack of wisdom in the race of life. Last week we heard the story of the Syro-Phoenician woman where a female voiced wisdom to Jesus. And in that story, the wisdom was providing love beyond God's children in Israel. And Jesus, we heard, accepted the wisdom that the woman voiced and acted on it. And we discussed how the story reflected the church's early decision to spread Jesus' way of love to both Jews and Greek, to work on providing love for absolutely everyone. Wisdom appearing in female voices is a theme in the Bible, and one of the threads in that theme is wisdom appearing in a powerful, prophetic female voice like in our lesson. Some still like to claim that she, wisdom, is a human prophet, but more and more modern theologians are admitting she can be heard as a female image of no less than God. And I found that even in the 21st century, there's much opposition to assigning a feminine image to God. Basically, the argument I encounter is usually something along the lines of God is like a male, only like a male, and it is heresy to claim otherwise. Yet, as I mentioned up here and in writings before, the Bible has references to God being like a woman giving birth, a midwife helping with new birth, a mother fending for her cubs. And in fact, no less than Jesus claims God as being protective like a mother animal. The Bible actually starts off in Genesis not only with a feminine image of God giving birth to creation, but also with an unequivocal claim that women are made in God's image. And so it should really not be controversial that sure enough, God's image has feminine aspects to it in the Bible. And it's not just in Genesis where the feminine Hebrew word ruach is used for God's Spirit that speaks all of creation into being. In Proverbs, the word for wisdom is also feminine in nature. And as wisdom in our lesson, she is speaking God's voice not in private, not in a house of worship, but smack dab in the hurly-burly business of life. Wisdom's all over town. Everywhere you are, there she is. Our lesson even tells us she covers every entrance and every exit. So see, there's absolutely no way to miss wisdom's prophetic voice or choose to have her on your team as you go through life with others. You can avoid prayer, and you can avoid worship, but by God, literally, you will hear her voice anyway, because wisdom cannot be avoided, only ignored and disobeyed. Here's how one commentary sums up this ubiquitous divine presence and prophetic vocalization. Pastor James Hopkins writes, In this passage, wisdom, believed by many to represent the ever-searching, ever-calling, ever-challenging Spirit of God, is personified. Wisdom shows up in the places where human beings live their lives. She shows up in busy streets. She shows up in the public square. She shows up in the bustling intersection. She shows up with a challenging question: is anyone out there listening to me? She shows up with a stern warning: to ignore wisdom is to choose destruction. She shows up with a compelling invitation: those who listen to me will be blessed. And wisdom, as we heard in our lesson today, declares, I will make my words known to you. I will make my words known to you. It's like I said, one way or another. We all know what's on her mind. And in this text, there's also I would listen to me if I were you attitude to God in this everywhere wisdom, woman, image of the divine. And a good part of the lesson instructs us about what happens when we do not heed wisdom, when we scoff at her and laugh at her and ignore her. The consequences are we feel what we dish out. It's dealt back to us while we are mired in the calamities caused by not doing what is wise, what wisdom dictates. That may sound harsh and unloving for the God of love, but we don't need to understand that God literally scoffs, laughs, or ignores our suffering for being unwise in not following wisdom. It is that we feel as if creation mocks us in our troubles as payback, but actually it's not payback from God. It's the ripples of trouble we set off coming back to us. What goes around comes around, sort of thing. There are consequences. Consequences to not heeding wisdom. One theologian calls it the inexorable tide of justice. You see, justice means getting that which is due. And what is due has a way of coming around in response to unwise decisions, actions, inactions. And consequently, if we ignore or countermand God's wisdom, we are quite naturally without it, and calamity comes calling, not so much as judgment, but as the end results of the ripples of injustice we set off by lacking wisdom. Because what is due God is our listening to and heeding her wisdom. And what happens when we don't is the direct result of being unwise. As wisdom herself tells us in our text from Proverbs, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel, and despise all my reproof, therefore they shall eat the fruit of their way and be sated with their own devices. And that last part, sated with their own devices, gives us a clue that this is not God's imposition of calamity, but our own. Sated means to be satisfied or filled or full. Those who do not heed the wisdom of God and fill themselves with their own unwise ways suffer the consequences that lacking wisdom brings about. As the lesson also puts it, they eat their own fruit. As we might put it, they get their just deserts. And if we think about it, this makes sense. We know that accountability is pretty much built into unwise choices, right? If we choose to have one rower in a boat that's racing 8 rowers, the consequences are we are going to lose by a mile. On the converse, having wisdom on board is also addressed in the reading. Wise choices have consequences too. We can win the race with it. And our lesson tells us what happens when we listen and when we heed the wisdom of God. She says that while waywardness kills the simple and the complacency of fool destroys them, but those who listen to me will be secure and live at ease without dread of disaster. There's gloom for those acting without wisdom, but there's promise of peace for those acting with wisdom. That makes wise sense. And so, what is the wisdom of wisdom? Well, in today's reading, we can glean that she tells us we must choose to have fear of the Lord and accept her counsel, to listen to her. Okay, but what does that really mean? Well, first of all, let's address the part we all kind of stumble on, the fear of the Lord part. Old Testament professor Kathleen O'Connor notes this very important point about that phrase. Fear of the Lord, she writes, does not mean sniveling terror before God. The phrase is an ancient code for the proper behavior of the religious person in relation to God and creation. It involves awe, respect, and obedience. It summarizes righteous living. People who fear the Lord have their feet planted on the ground, see around them truthfully, and live in harmony with God and the world. The foolish, by contrast, are to be abandoned to the fruit of their own way, to be sated with their own desires. If you think about it, that makes a lot of sense. It's wise counsel. Proper behavior in relation to God and creation will rather obviously keep us out of trouble with God. And proper behavior is just what it sounds like. Awe, respect, and obedience toward God. And if we understand God to be, as Paul puts it, that which we live and move and have our being, and then we can see why Professor O'Connor claims wisdom is calling us to have our feet planted on the ground, seeing around us truthfully and living in harmony with God and the world. That's the aim of Judaism and Christianity and almost every other religion in the world. It is the aim of wisdom, living in harmony with God and the world. That is wisdom personified in every sense of the word. And if and when we do that, live in harmony with God and the world, we will live into the truth that wisdom calls us to from every nook and cranny of our existence. Then, those who listen to wisdom will be secure and will live at ease without dread or disaster. And so, the million-dollar question remaining is, how do we live in harmony with God and the world? And in Proverbs 3, wisdom goes on to provide the general answer, and I'm reading from the New International Version. My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Words, literally, of wisdom. And I love that that's there in Proverbs 3, because you know what? Jesus and a lawyer gave the same answer when the lawyer asked Jesus how to inherit eternal life. Jesus replied to the lawyer, what is written in the law? What do you read there? And the lawyer answered, you shall love the Lord with your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus said to him, you've given the right answer. Do this and you will live. Jesus, who is the divine revelation of God for Christians, tells us to properly live, to live in harmony, to gain eternal life. We need to love God in all of creation. All of it. Especially all people. And we need to do all that loving with all our heart, soul, strength, and mind. And wisdom in Proverbs, even further back, tells us the same thing. We need to let love and faithfulness never leave us, to bind them around our neck, write them on the tablets of our hearts. Wisdom and Jesus' answer is love. Love God, love others, love self. And when we do that, creation wins. We win. Love wins. Because love is the wise thing to do.